know that at the age of 40, a woman's body betrays her more than ever, and at the same time awakens her?
Statistics say more than 65% of women at this age experience something they themselves are afraid of. Something that is not an illness, not depression, but a silent hunger. A hunger revealed in her gaze, in the way fabric touches her skin, even in the stillness of her lonely room. Everyone thinks this is just some psychological phase. But the truth is, this is the moment when a woman suddenly sees her own body through the eyes of a stranger. The tiny lines around her eyes, the faint crease at her lips, the hair that no longer shines as it once did. And in that very look, a disaster occurs. She feels as though a part of her femininity is slipping away. But right there, in the heart of that fear, a wild need awakens, one that whispers, I must be touched again. I must be seen again. I must prove the fire in me is not dead. Picture this, midnight, everyone asleep. She stands in the dim light of the bathroom mirror, staring at her body. Her hand moves slowly across her skin, not for beauty, but for confirmation. Am I still alive? Can I still burn someone? That simple touch becomes a wordless confession. And the next morning, when she sits at the breakfast table and smiles, no one will know the war that took place in front of the mirror the night before. They say centuries ago in ancient Greece, a priestess, when she turned 40, battered her mirror and declared, "This image is no longer me." From that night on, she toyed with every man who looked at her, only to prove one thing: she could still awaken desire. People cursed her name, called her possessed, but history still whispers it. Why? Because she screamed louder what every woman feels but dares not confess. And here lies the half-open secret. The woman you think is calm is, inside, full of hidden fire. Fire that flares up at every stray glance. Fire that ignites with a simple line from a stranger. You look beautiful today. The moment you think it's just a polite smile, in her mind the whole world is overturned. And this is the very psychological trap that sooner than you imagine will consume you too. Because once that hunger awakens, nothing, absolutely nothing, can put it back to sleep. And this is the moment when danger begins. They say in an old forgotten city, there was once a woman who sprayed perfume every night before she went to bed, even when no one was waiting for her. When asked why, she replied, "So I never forget I still smell like a woman, not just the shadow of a wife or a mother." This may have happened 1,000 years ago, but believe me, tonight, in thousands of homes, countless women are doing the exact same thing, in silence, for themselves, to keep alive a feeling no one else seems to notice anymore. And this is the exact point where the map of life trembles. Because that woman, even if she smiles, even if she cooks, even if she embraces her children with love, deep inside feels she is no longer seen. Psychologists call this the effect of invisibility. And studies show that when the brain feels erased from others' eyes, the same regions activate as when the body feels physical pain. Neglect for the mind is like being struck. You felt this too, haven't you? That moment when you stood in a crowd and no one looked your way. That instant when you spoke and no one listened. Now imagine that same pain, not once, not for a day, but for years, etched deep into the soul of a woman. Every ignored glance, every mechanical touch, every moment she passes through the room like air. Each of these opens a new wound inside her. Let me ask you directly, have you ever seen a woman's eyes sparkle at just one simple line from a stranger? Why does one trivial sentence strike so deep? Because it arrives precisely at the moment when she had forgotten herself. That single phrase becomes a drop of water in the desert. And this is where you must pay attention, because this is the first step of the slide. A slide that may never be confessed out loud, but inside it creates a new world. And if you don't notice, you'll only realize it when it's far too late. Did you know research shows that women entering this crisis in their 40s are more drawn than ever to sudden changes? Changes in appearance, changes in career, changes in relationships. These are not hobbies. These are silent screams saying, I am still here. I am still alive. And now I want you to think of someone right now, someone you know who might be quietly living through this. Send this video to them. Maybe this tiny act will become their lifeline. If by now you feel like you're seeing a layer of truth no one dares to speak about, then like this video right now so I know you are with me, because we've only reached the second layer. But stay alert, because at this very moment, behind every smile, another secret is hiding. A secret that once revealed will change everything forever. The signs are everywhere, but most men refuse to see them. She checks her reflection in windows that once didn't matter. She lingers longer over the shade of lipstick, the cut of her dress, not because of vanity, but because of urgency. It is the desperate confirmation that she has not disappeared behind the years, that she is still a woman, not just a role. And once this urgency ignites, there is no turning back. What begins as a game, an innocent curiosity, becomes a need, and need never rests. They say in ancient Mesopotamia, a queen once stood on the palace balcony as the sun set and declared, "I am more prisoner in this golden cage than any beggar in the streets." That night, she walked barefoot into the desert, leaving behind jewels and guards, because she preferred the risk of the unknown to the certainty of suffocation. Her story became legend not because of her power, but because she embodied the same fire that awakens in women centuries later. The fire to break the script. This is not mythology alone. Modern psychology has a name for it: cognitive dissonance, the unbearable gap between who she dreamed she would be and who she sees in the mirror now. Carl Jung wrote, "What you resist not only persists, but grows in size." And this resistance between the dutiful wife and the silent stranger inside becomes a battlefield. Picture it like Van Gogh's Starry Night, beauty painted over turbulence, swirling chaos hidden behind dazzling color. Or like a violin concerto, where beneath the soaring melody, the strings tremble with tension. A woman in her 40s lives this paradox every day. On the outside, harmony. On the inside, a storm that refuses silence. And here comes the mini reward, the piercing truth you can grasp right now. Every small change you see in her, every new interest, every sudden spark of attention is not random. It is the first tremor of an earthquake. Ignore it, and you will one day wake up in ruins. Notice it, and you still have a chance to rewrite the ending. Now it is time to approach what I call the golden principle, the law that reveals why all of this happens and the only way through it. Because until you face that truth, you are living in an illusion. And illusions, sooner or later, always collapse. They say centuries ago, in the court of a Persian king, there was a woman who wore the same necklace every day for 20 years. One morning, she unclasped it and threw it into the river. When the king demanded to know why, she whispered, "Because every jewel on it reminded me of a day I lived without fire." That necklace, glittering yet lifeless, was the symbol of her years of obedience, of routine, of silence. And by casting it away, she reclaimed herself. This story is not ancient dust. It is the mirror of what happens to countless women as they cross into their 40s. Outwardly, they may still carry the necklace, routine, marriage, stability, but inwardly, a voice is screaming, "I will not wear chains anymore." And this is the moment we arrive at the golden principle. When the body feels time slipping, the soul demands intensity. That intensity doesn't come as calm conversations or planned family dinners. It arrives in the heat of stolen glances, in the way a hand brushes too close, in the sudden electricity of a compliment. This is not simple vanity. It is the rebirth of hunger. A hunger that had been buried beneath motherhood, beneath duties, beneath years of repetition. And when it rises, it does not ask permission. Here is the brutal truth. A woman at 40 may look in the mirror and for the first time in decades, truly see herself, not the mother, not the wife, not the caretaker, but the woman who still wants to be desired. Her body whispers secrets to her, secrets she thought she buried. The curve of her hip, the softness of her lips, the fire still alive in her eyes. Suddenly, these are no longer just details of survival. They are symbols of proof I still exist. I can still awaken what I thought was gone. Psychologists call this the reactivation of dormant drives. Philosophers called it the second youth, and society calls it by the cruelest of names, midlife crisis. But look closely and you'll see it is not a crisis. It is an awakening. The rediscovery of the forbidden flame. Think of Picasso, who at 60 painted with the intensity of a young rebel. Or think of a violin string. After years of tension, it produces the richest sound only when it is closest to breaking. That is the paradox. The moment you think her fire is fading is the exact moment it roars back. Not quietly, not politely, but in dangerous, unpredictable ways, and this is your advantage now. Because you know something most never understand. When she changes her hair, when she lingers over her reflection, when her laughter sounds different, it is not random. It is her body and soul screaming, "I will not be invisible. I will burn again." If you grasp this, you hold the key. If you ignore it, you lose her. Remember this line, let it echo in your mind. Routine kills faster than betrayal. Because betrayal can sometimes be forgiven, but the slow suffocation of invisibility never can. So here is the golden principle placed in your hand. To survive this awakening, you must see her again, not as the role she played, but as the fire she hides. This is the secret that 99% will never know. But now you do. And with that knowledge comes the weight of choice. But wait, before you think this principle is enough, know this, the story is not over. Because when the fire reignites, it does not just warm, it can also burn everything to ash. And that's where we must go next, into the transformation, into the moment when from the ashes a new woman rises or disappears forever. They say the phoenix is just a myth, a bird that burns itself into ash and rises again. But anyone who has looked into the eyes of a woman at 40 knows the phoenix is real. Because in her silence, in her sudden storms, in her unpredictable shifts, she is doing exactly that, burning her old self to rise as someone no one has met before. Do not be deceived. This transformation is not soft. It is not graceful. It is violent, raw, sometimes terrifying. One day she wakes up and the taste of breakfast is bitter. One evening she lies in bed and the sheets feel like chains. One afternoon she looks at the mirror and the woman looking back feels like a stranger. These are not small moods. These are sparks falling on dry ground. And once the fire starts, nothing, absolutely nothing, remains untouched. Imagine her body as a battlefield. On one side, the voice that whispers, "Stay. Protect what you've built. Don't risk stability." On the other, a scream that says, "Escape, reinvent, live before it's too late." Both voices echo in her blood, in her breath, in the way her skin tingles at the faintest reminder that she is still alive. This war doesn't show itself with weapons, but in subtle gestures. The pause in her voice, the way her laughter cracks, the secret glow in her eyes when someone, anyone, notices her differently. And here lies the paradox. The pain she carries, the years of invisibility, the suffocating weight of routine, all of it becomes fuel. The more it hurts, the stronger the flame. It's why you will sometimes see her radiating a beauty you thought was gone. A sudden light, not because she returned to her youth, but because pain has sharpened her presence into something dangerous and magnetic. This is the hidden alchemy of suffering. In the language of psychology, trauma often forges resilience. In the language of desire, absence creates hunger. And in the language of myth, ashes create wings. She is no longer the woman who only played roles. She is reborn as someone unpredictable, someone who may destroy or create, but never again remain invisible. Picture dawn breaking after a long, endless night. The first ray of light doesn't just illuminate, it slices the darkness apart. That's her transformation. She doesn't simply return to who she was. She emerges wearing invisible armor, glowing with scars turned into strength, walking with the intoxicating danger of someone who has nothing left to lose. And here is the insight. Suffering is not the end. Suffering is the seed of dangerous freedom. She has discovered that from every broken promise, from every ignored glance, from every silent tear, something new has been born, a force that refuses to kneel. But this force comes with a choice. She can use it to build or to destroy, to turn toward you or away from you forever. That choice will not be made logically. It will be decided in the moments you least expect, in a look, in a silence, in the way she interprets your smallest gesture. And now comes the cliffhanger you must face. What if the transformation is not about you at all? What if the woman who rises from the ashes is no longer someone who even needs you? What if her rebirth means she will walk away, not because she hates you, but because she finally remembered how to live without you? Because hidden in this metamorphosis, there is still one secret. A secret even darker, even more dangerous than the fire itself. And that is what we must uncover next. From the beginning, we spoke of whispers, of cracks in the ice, of fires that burn unseen. We called it a crisis, an awakening, a transformation. But here is the final truth you must carry. It is not only about women. It is not only about marriage. It is about time itself. Time is the enemy, the thief that steals quietly, and the only weapon against it is awareness. Because the woman at 40 does not suddenly go crazy. She simply removes the blindfold that protected her for decades. She begins to see routine for what it is, chains. She begins to see roles for what they are, masks. And when the mask falls, she discovers a face she has not seen in years, her own. That face is not young anymore. It carries lines, scars, shadows. But behind it, there is also a brilliance that routine could never kill. Here lies the paradox. What seems like destruction is, in fact, rebirth. The silence at the dinner table, the restless glances, the sudden shifts, they are not the end of love, but the end of illusion. And when illusions die, something raw and terrifying is born, the possibility of truth. Think of a mirror. For years, it reflected the same stage smiles, but one day it refuses to lie. It shows her as she truly is, flawed, being burning. That mirror does not destroy her. It liberates her, because only when she sees herself clearly can she demand to be seen clearly by you. And here is the final secret. Midlife crisis is not madness, it is memory. The memory of the woman she once was before duty buried her. The memory of desires silenced. The memory of choices never taken. When those memories rise, they do not ask politely. They demand life back, and that demand either transforms your bond into something raw and real, or it shatters it forever. So what is the message for you, here and now? It is simple. Look at her as if for the first time. Speak to her not as a role, but as a soul. Touch her not as a habit, but as proof that you see her fire, and most of all, see the mirror she holds up, because it does not only reflect her, it reflects you too. Remember this final echo: you cannot stop time, but you can stop pretending. Pretending kills faster than age, and only in naked truth does anything real survive. Now, the circle closes. At the start, I asked, is this all? That haunting question every woman whispers at 40. Here is the answer. No, this is not all. This can be the beginning if you dare. But if you turn away, if you deny, then yes. This is all, and it will end with silence. So let me leave you with this image. Tomorrow morning you wake up, you turn to her, and in her eyes, you either see a stranger walking away or a fire waiting for you to meet it. The choice always is yours. And now I want to hear from you. Be honest. Tell me in the comments, have you ever seen these signs in someone close to you? Have you ever felt this invisible fire yourself? Write it, share it, because your story may be the mirror that someone else desperately needs to see. If even one moment in this video struck you, if even one line made you stop and feel, then like this video right now. Subscribe, because what you heard is only one piece of a much deeper puzzle we will uncover together. The truth hurts, but it also sets you free.